Yo, 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 I'm candibknittin, and I be knitting. And today I also be looking back at my 2024. I'm going to start with this is how I organize all my knitting stuff. I just have little journals, and each page I write down what I'm working on that month. Each month has one page, and I have what I have on the needles, what I'm planning on doing next, spinning plans. But something I also do at the beginning of the year, I started this new journal and I wrote down my goals for the year. So I thought it would be fun to go back and look at what I wrote in January 2024. As we are, today is December 27th, 2024, and we will be quickly approaching 2025. So that I thought I'd look back at not only my goals, look back at actually what I did accomplish, and end with a few reflections. So, back in 2024, my goals. The first thing I wrote, and also I have maybe I'll link to that. Well, I have a video I did at the beginning of the year that has some of this stuff in it, and so it might be fun to go back and look at that. So, make a self-drafted sweater. I did not do that. I actually this year purchased Ann Budd's book about different sweater constructions. I recently had someone go to that YouTube video and be like, oh, did you use that book yet? I'd be interested to know how it worked out. Sorry, I have not used that book yet. I have not done a self-drafted pattern yet. I just, my brain was not there, and we'll get into that later. Also, one of the reasons I bought that book was to knit a sweater for my husband, and we're not quite there yet on that goal either. And so maybe something for next year. I don't know. I probably will end up using that Ann Budd book sometime next year, but I thought it was going to be much more, something I was going to be much more into this year. And this year I've been very much like, let me load up this 10 Can Knits app and see what's on there. Make my husband a sweater. I did not do that this year, not for lack of trying. He's just in a point right now where he's like, his weight fluctuates a bit from time to time, and so he's just trying to get to like a certain point where he feels like super duper ready to like be measured and everything. And so I'm waiting with bated breath. I do believe I was telling him that we're going to start to probably pick out yarn. Because I'm thinking I want to do Pearl Soho's linen quill, because I've just heard really, really great things about that yarn. And so I hope it's as good as people say it is. Maybe I'll just start with a couple of skeins just to test it out. But I think it's going to give like it's linen, it's wool and linen. So I think it's going to be lightweight, but also the luxuriousness of wool. And I don't know what the washing instructions are on it. I'll have to double check with but I just want something really easy and a little bit on the more lightweight side. And so I'm going to be looking out for when because I know Pearl Soho has sales quite frequently. And so I think that'll be like a 2 birds, 1 stone, making a sweater for him, but also trying out this yarn. But it did not happen in 2024. More drum carding. I did do a lot more drum carding in 2024. The goal being I was really into buying like the hand dyed braids from different independent dyers, and I really wanted to kind of get more creative with kind of building my own blends of things. And so I bought a lot of just solid color wool. I bought some different samplers of different materials, and I did do quite a bit of drum carding. I also taught myself to make rolags, or I guess poonies. Poonies are more cotton. I really struggle with a lot of those words because people use those words kind of ubiquitously for certain things, but they all have like very specific meanings. So I believe I made rolags on my hand carders, and then the drum carder is for making bats. And so I definitely got more into that this year. Use more hand spun. I didn't really have a goal around that. So I would say it was successful. I think when we get into my finished objects for the year, I made a hat with some hand spun in 2023. I made a hat, and maybe one other thing. This year I did 4 projects with my hand spun, and I have one sweater that is mostly hand spun. So, it's not like I'm using, like, a majority of my projects are hand spun, but definitely, you know, up by 100% is significant. I did 4 projects with my, I got a couple of them here, but I used some hand spun in a shawl. I used some in a sweater. I actually spun and dyed and made a cowl. And then I made, I think I made one more. I made the coasters for my coworkers. And then I used some for the accent on my husband's hat for Halloween. And then currently I have my stripey tee that is mostly hand spun, and it will be a significant amount of hand spun in a wearable, which usually, like I said, I've been using it mostly for accessories. Last year I did the Night Nook sweater by Stephen West, and I just did a few stripes at the top with hand spun. And so to go from that to mostly a whole sweater made out of hand spun, I'd say is check. Track spending. I had this idea that I was like, let me see if, because I kind of have, I think I'm doing okay. I'm not, bankrupting my family with my hobbies, but I thought it would just be interesting to know at the end of the year how much money in total I spent, because I honestly don't know. And I had the best of intentions with that, but at the beginning of the year, I wrote that as a goal, and then partway through the year, we kind of had some kind of personal life career shift stuff happen, and I was just like, well, I'm really not going to be buying a whole lot of yarn this year because our priorities kind of shifted. So I really don't need to do that. And then by the end of the year, everything kind of sorted itself out, and I was back to life as usual. And so maybe I'll consider that. I'll consider that when I sit down for my 2025 goals, because it's not, like I said, I'm not like, sending my family to the poorhouse over it, but I just would be curious, and it would just be one more metric. And I think just numbers are interesting. I do tend to, I'm not like a skiing here, skiing there person. I'm more of like a big shopping trip kind of person, or I like to go, like maybe like once a quarter, I like to go to a festival and, do that. Or, maybe the knit picks, like the Felici I bought, like to be able to buy a certain amount at a certain time. And so it would be interesting to tally it up. Organized craft room. I did do that. I kind of talked about it last week. I have like this big white behemoth that's behind me. You probably can't really tell what it is unless you've been on my Instagram, but it's a long white table that has kind of cubby holes underneath it, and then was a Mother's Day gift I got this year, and I think Mr. Rulu got it from Wayfair, but it's got like a really thick hard top to it, so it's like waist counter height to do crafting on, and then it's got drawers and cubbies that are accessible from both sides, so it's pretty versatile as far as crafting goes, and that's been a big help for me. I would like kind of to continue, like this past week, I did pull everything out and reorganize some things, because when I first got it, I just kind of started throwing things here and there, and I do need to like spend some time thinking about how to best have things in such a way where everything's accessible and it makes sense with like the flow of what I'm working on. And it would be nice, speaking of tracking spending and all that kind of stuff, it would be nice if eventually everything, or a majority, because some things just don't, I can't put my spinning wheel in something like this, but if the majority of my crafting stuff fit in this area would be nice. But I definitely did a lot of work towards that this year. And I actually donated, I've been going to those yarn swaps quarterly. There's a local art, kind of collective art gallery that does yarn swaps, and I've been actually taking yarn there and leaving with less yarn, or taking more yarn there than I'm leaving with. And also, chick. This one was kind of yarn adjacent one, purge closet. This year I got rid of a lot of clothes, some that did not like fit me anymore. I've lost a bit of weight over the past couple of years. And two, because I'm knitting sweaters for myself, I've been kind of replacing store-bought sweaters with hand knit sweaters. The idea being there is, first of all, sweaters take up a lot of space. Second of all, those sweaters, I had a couple of sweaters that did fit me okay, but I think, they would be better off with someone else that needs a sweater more than I do. I've gotten to the point now where I have, as far as like true winter sweaters go, not like ranunculi, I got like 3 or 4 knit sweaters that I have. And the biggest change since I started knitting, I used to be very much like, oh, I can't repeat an outfit. I would be very much like, oh, I need to put this look together. And I had this top for this very specific purpose. And now that I've started knitting, I have more like wardrobe staples. And I think it's also a function of getting older, where I kind of know what I like and I pivot towards those things. And I'm not really that concerned with impressing anyone or being trendy. It's just like, okay, I need slacks for work. I need a decent pair of shoes to walk in, And so knitting kind of goes hand in hand in that. And so I've got a nice little core collection of hand knit sweaters, and I wear them, I can wear the same sweater to work 2-3 times a week, and I really could care less what, someone thinks about me wearing the same sweater every day. Especially, I spent the time to make it, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money, and I believe they look great. I think also it's just the connection to the item is different than I'm just wearing a pretty blouse I got from Forever 21, and it's just like in a month I don't care about it anymore. But I could wear my same hand knit sweater every single day and it would still put a smile on my face and make me excited and confident to go out. And so I've become less and less attached to the clothing in my closet and feeling like I need to own a lot of clothing. I think it also is definitely a function of going through 2 years of quarantine and then, working from home 3 times a week. A lot of that stuff I don't need. So as I take yarn out of here, knit it into clothes, put it in my closet, some of that stuff just has to go. Frogging. I actually did a lot of frogging this year. I frogged like 3 or 4 different items, including the yarn that I'm using for my Besties hoodie. I had a kind of like a summer top I had knitted, and I frogged that. The yarn for, I guess I'll show you all this because I was looking at it earlier. I was talking about, my core sweaters. This is probably my favorite thing that I've knit this year. It's a simple sweater by Tin Can Knits with Knit Picks palette held double. And I started it at the end of 2023 over Christmas holiday, and I finished it towards the end of the spring of 2024. So I really didn't get a chance to wear it very much. But this, a lot of this green, you see this apple green, that is like the main unifying color of it, was actually from a sweater that I have frogged, a sweater that I had like held a bunch of yarn double to make a cardigan, and it just was really sloppy and falling all over the place. And so I frogged that to get all this green yarn back and then striped it in with the rest of this Knit Picks palette. And this is what I'm saying about like having a few like kind of core pieces in my wardrobe. And I'd never understood when people would be like, oh, this is like kind of like my sweatshirt. I'm just like, I have hoodies. Why would I want to, but it's just perfect. I love it. I really do understand it now. Like this, and I think also I thought of like sweaters as like kind of itchy and hot, but when you use like 100% wool, it actually doesn't get that hot. It's actually quite comfy, cozy. Mending. I have recently gotten back to that goal. I won't say that I like totally achieved that goal this year. but I have my little plastic bin that I'm allegedly spending 30 minutes a day working on. I have been slacking, but something's better than nothing, you know? So if I get 30 minutes in every 2 or 3 days, it's still better than things sitting in a sack. And I've already mended one pair of socks. I'm weaving in the ends on another pair of socks. And I'm just going to keep going and also make sure that I'm, once I get caught up, actually taking care of my knits, because they have kind of become a part of my life. And it's going to come to a point where a good chunk of the things I own are knit. And so I need to be able to kind of stay on top of that and take care of things a little bit better. Like this sweater at the end of the season, when I wash it, it needs a really good deep pilling. And I just want to make sure I stay on top of stuff like that, because it can really like pile up on you. Something else I also do is I make a shopping list for myself, because like there's certain things I want to work towards, certain things I want, and I can get easily distracted by like, oh, this is bright and shiny, or oh, that's really cool, that just came out, or oh, this is on sale, let me go buy that. And so I do go back to my shopping list to be like, is this something I really want? Is this fitting in with my goals? And so one of the things I said was neutrals that complement my stash, especially hand spun. Definitely did that this year. This is the year I made that big RH Lindsay order of a lot of, like I said, just neutral, red, blue, yellow. I had that rust color for a sweater, so I have something in mind for that. And just plain white, a lot of plain gray. Got this Patton's Classic, and really bringing in a lot more solids so that I can use up some of those like 1-2Z skeins of odd lots. Something else I wrote, wool wash. I did buy some wool wash this year. Yarn storage. Not only did I get this table, I bought a bunch of those plastic shoe boxes, and I've been kind of organizing stuff in here, and these have been really good because I had like the big 50-gallon buckets, and these work a lot better as far as like literally compartmentalizing certain things, so I'm not like just digging through some big old bucket. Rolags. I ended up making my own Rolags. I have been coveting those Hikari handmade Rolags, but I was like, oh, I'll try to make my own. And I actually haven't spun the ones I made myself, so that tells you something. Lap waist, that just means like, odds and ends from different, I guess you can say, mills and stuff will have just like bags of leftover things, and that was what I was using for like some of my carding experiments, and I did purchase that. I've been looking for, it says spin for socks. I have been looking for the ideal blend for spinning for socks. I have not found it yet, so I am open to suggestions. There is one dyer that was selling their sock blend, but I don't know if like the timing did. I think it actually sold out. A lot of the independent dyers that make really great stuff, they sell out when they up their shops or what have you. So maybe I just need to be a little bit more on the ball with that. Or I guess I could blend it myself, but for socks, I would really want more of a professional opinion on that. Because I see so many conflicting things about what is a good blend for socks. And some people are like, oh, you don't need nylon. And some people are like, you absolutely need nylon. This is also the reason I bought this silk thread. Hoping maybe I could ply something with some silk thread and make a sock yarn. We'll see. Boucle yarn. This past year, boucle has been very trendy, and I'm like, oh, it's very alluring to me. And so I did buy some boucle yarn. This is Kim Dye's yarn. She's local to me, and she was actually clearing out her shop for the end of the year. And so this is all she had left of this colorway. This is her September 2023 colorway of the month. on her Crumble Slubby base, and this is called Golden Light. It's 90-10 superwash merino nylon, 100 grams for 438 yards. So this is enough to make myself a nice sleeveless top. Or I don't know if anyone's ever made like a ranunculus with slubby yarn. Let me know. But this should get me pretty far. And if not, Knit Picks actually sells like bare boucle, and so I could always buy some Knit Picks to go with this and dye it to complement this. And I also have fiber I actually have superwash fiber from Kim Dye's Yarn that I could spend something to go with this, because she's very consistent with her kind of color story, and so you could kind of grab anything from any one of her lines and it would go together. But yeah, these were like half off or something, and so I was just like, and this colorway really stuck out to me, so I grabbed a couple of these because I love a good trend, but for the right price. And so 2025 might be the year of boucle. I might be 2 years behind the trend, but I don't care. Oh, this is going back to my goals. This is handwritten, so it's all over the place. Record recipes, like my vanilla sock pattern, certain shawl shapes that I like, kind of getting those down someplace, because there's certain things that I'm always like looking in my Google search history for, or trying to find my notes that I wrote down. And so it would be nice to maybe grab a notebook like this and put those things somewhere. Didn't do that this year. Maybe next year. Maybe I'll finally knit the perfect socks for Mr. Rulud and I'll write that down somewhere. I actually do have a notebook where I have my go-to quiche recipe, so maybe it'll go in that book. Okay. Oh yeah, so we're going back to goals now. And then I have a couple of stores I wanted to check out that I haven't really... Oh, growth and creativity I wrote down. That's cute. Don't know if I can really... Growth and creativity. Did that happen this year? No, I don't think that happened this year. Maybe I'll pick some more random words this year and see if I can hit those goals. But something else I wanted to do is a lightweight cardigan, which went with my purge the closet goal. And if you go back to that video where I talked about my 2024 goals, I held up this really nasty ratty gray cardigan that came from Target. And I have since chucked that sweater, and I knit my Pouf this year, which is an improvement on the ratty gray sweater, because it does have color and it's not ratty and it's not gray. But I do also see the need to probably knit myself a more traditional neutral sweater as well. So maybe I'll do that this year. But I have been enjoying my Pouf. It is, as the reviews say on Ravelry, it does kind of slip off the shoulders. And so I think I do need to probably make a more practical cardigan. But for my first and only hand knit cardigan, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, that's that. So I hit that goal, got rid of a lot of old ratty stuff, got rid of some stuff that just wasn't. The only sweater I have still that is store-bought has like peekaboo shoulders and kind of has like a shiny finish to it, and so it's not something I would necessarily knit for myself. And it's like a nicer sweater that I wear, when it's cold, but I want to be a bit more formal. And so I'll probably hold down to that for a little while longer. But most of like my just everyday sweaters I have gotten rid of. And also making socks for my husband. Whew. I think y'all have heard enough about that. So those were my goals going into 2024 and kind of what happened. I will say overall, and I guess we'll transition into some of the metrics. I do save my ball bands when I finish a project, and I use that as kind of a rough estimate of how much I knit it in a year. And ball band wise and project wise, what does it say? In 2023, I knitted 39 items, and there's some, it's socks count as one item, for instance. So there's some nuances there. But this year I knit 24 projects. There are all some technicalities there because I'm working on that big quilt, and technically that quilt has like 4 blankets inside of it. But overall, I know for a fact I have knit less this year. As I mentioned earlier, I kind of had a bit of a career shakeup, so I had less time to knit at work. There were days where, usually I knit on socks during my lunch break. There was days where I was working through my lunch break. There were days when I came home, I was so tired that I didn't feel like knitting. Like, this is the first year since I started knitting where there were days where I just did not knit at all, which was interesting. Also had kind of some health issues, not anything like major or anything for y'all to be concerned about, but I just was not in tip-top shape this year, professionally or physically. And so that definitely affected things. On the positive side, I am a person of many hobbies, and so obviously I started knitting and I got really, really into that, and so naturally it kind of calms down a little bit. And so this year, if y'all are gamers, and if y'all know anything about my taste in gaming, when I was not tired from work or knitting, I was playing Like a Dragon. Infinite Wealth came out this year. I ended up replaying Persona 5 Royal Edition. I ended up getting all of 100%ing that game this year, and that was like my 3rd or 4th time playing through that game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Ended up Metaphor Refantasio. Recently, a game called Infinity Nikki came out. And so I've definitely gotten my groove back, as to say, with my video games, which I try to like knit during, cutscenes and stuff like that. But I've definitely gotten that bug, and that was something that kind of fell by the wayside when I was pregnant and had young children, and now I can get more into that. And so that's been on the positive side. So it wasn't all just like, oh, I'm just so tired and everything's bad. But I've just been doing other stuff as well. So I'm really looking forward to hitting the ground running this next year. I feel like I've been kind of like building up a certain amount of energy. I have all these like whips that are sitting around, and like once I finish these, it's gonna be like boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna finish up this quilt, and everything's gonna be real nice. And I think I'm going to stop it there. I appreciate y'all listening to my ramblings. Hopefully this goes up by the end of the year, and then this will be my last video of the year. And then next year we'll start with a clean slate, and I'll talk about my goals for 2025. Was there anything else I wanted? Yeah, I will give myself a pat on the back for using more hand spun this year. I do feel like that was, if I were to like highlight any goal that I hit this year, I'm feeling that goal. I did want to also mention that, I did my Vertices Unite by Stephen West, and that was, if you go back to that video that I did with my goals for 2024, I had all of that yarn, that Moonlorn yarn I wanted to use, and I used it in this shawl. And so if and when you do go back, if you've seen that video, or if you're a new subscriber, go back and watch that video. And I was like, oh, I have all this yarn, and I need to find a project for it, and I ended up making the Vertices Unite. And so I'm actually quite pleased with myself this year with that. So overall, kind of, I guess, a flat year, some ups and downs, we'll say. That being said, how was your 2024? Were there any goals, that you set for yourself? Did you pivot? Let me know. If I don't see y'all, I probably won't see y'all. What do I want to say? I saw someone today, and they asked me how my holidays were, and I said, oh, they were great. And I asked them, and they said, okay. And I said, oh, just okay. And I was like, you know what? It's okay that your holidays were okay. I was like, it's better than having terrible holidays. So, you know what? Have an okay New Year. You know, okay is okay. It's okay to have an okay New Year. Um, but yeah, let me know all of that stuff. How were your holidays? How was your 2024? What are you looking forward to in 2025? You can leave comments below, or you can hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Rulude, or you can email me, candibknittin@gmail.com. You can buy me at Ko-fi. But until next time, or until 2025, peace.